Hello, welcome back to another sketchbook video. So in this one, I was not feeling super confident. I've been doing a lot of work all the time, like I've mentioned before. I have 2 seasonal jobs and then we're trying to keep our small business going. So we do quite a bit of stuff during the season, so it's been wild and I've hardly gotten to draw anything, and I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out considering I was just feeling rusty. I kind of tried to sketch a bit in the morning. This was a surprise off day where we wouldn't really be working. And in fact, the day that I'm recording this voiceover was a super surprise off day just because of the weather. We get kind of crazy storms and you don't really want to be caught out because we get flash floods and stuff like that out here, so yeah, I was glad to actually have some time to make a video because I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to get to it this week. Just with how things were going, I'm like, I don't think this is gonna happen, but thankfully a day magically came along, a couple days came along, and I'm able to actually make this video. So, I had been kind of writing on a story for a character. His last name is Roche, but a bunch of people call him Roach because 1, he's kind of a jerk, and 2, he seems to be able to survive a lot of things that people don't usually come back from, and that is due to his own stubbornness. So what you're seeing here is what's called a spire, which may or may not change, but is currently called a spire. And they're these really old med bays, essentially, that would get stuck down into the dirt, and they would take care of these people who were going out and trying to get rid of all of the rads, which is basically a type of radiation. And what happened was, it ended up being something that even the filtration system couldn't fight out, and so those inside didn't make it, and so they're usually called whatever the place is and then grave spires. So this is Hellgrave spires that I'm showing here. And what's on all of these med bays is this stuff called brine, and it just grew over them and kind of eats up all of the stuff, especially in the black sand areas. That the black sand's actually made from the decay of trees and stuff in the area at the time that just basically became ash, and yeah, then the brine kind of creeps over anything that doesn't move for too long. So yeah, guy ends up in a horrible position, ends up having to crawl his butt over here and scale one of these spires, which is pretty intense, and very poetically is kind of trying to find a way to save his life within essentially a graveyard. So yeah, he has to scale it, he's gotta somehow get the door to open again, which is rough because, yeah, the brine. Gets himself inside, tosses out the body, and has to get healed. And the downside to this is he's kind of on the run. Everyone is basically given a chipset so that they can be identified, and yeah, so he kind of tried to carve his out, and he's not sure if he got every piece of it, and even, you know, leaving a tiny bit behind would actually give away who he is. And he's running from a lot of different people. So whenever he gets into this medbay thing, he knows that the weird satellites, these can open and close. That's why I have them on, like, kind of, they look different and on top of each spire in this picture. It is because they open and close to keep themselves safe from the windstorms and stuff that blow through here. So anyway, whatever. So he knows it's going to send a signal, and it's going to explain his physical condition and explain what he looks like. And depending on the med bay and how old or whatever it is, it can also take hold of his chipset and give his ID, which obviously he doesn't want. There's nothing he can do about it. So he nearly gives up because, when he gets in there, there's a lot of those old poisons that are still contained within the system, even though it does have filtration. I mean, it kind of closed the other person in to try to keep them safe and protect them from what the air had become, which was terrible. So whenever he gets in, it's still in there. And barely gets it going, which is only because he gets really mad and punches it because he can't breathe. And it brings him back, and he wakes up to it, resetting his broken bone, his tibia. So, yeah, rough stuff. And he's thinking, if I can just heal enough and get out of here, because these little healing bay things are really strong. They can do things that normal medicine definitely can't in this, day and age, but during that time it's kind of future-y. Then kind of falls down as things tend to do. So yeah, not quite as futuristic as maybe it once was, but old tech still lives, and there's a lot of stuff that they can work on and keep going and even improve in this weird apocalyptic kind of world. So yeah, he's telling it that he doesn't want it to dose him, and it's basically saying that it's deeming him unfit to make that decision for himself because of his condition. So yeah, that starts his story, and the backstory is found out way later on. He's made some connections, and yeah. So anyway, whenever I was writing that part, when I had a little bit of time, I write pretty consistently every day on something, just, I don't know, makes me feel calm. And I have to walk, so I can't draw at the same time, so writing is a good distraction anyway. So yeah, while I was writing that, all I could think about was these big spires, and I really wanted to draw one. And I didn't get it quite right because they're really tall, like really tall. When I say he had to scale it, he did, and they're super sharp. They actually have a lot of what people call like brine needles and things like that all over them. So yeah, he does end up pretty shredded, but yep, not perfect, but I really want to draw one anyway. And I don't know, I just wasn't feeling super confident in my drawing. I feel like I was even slower, and that was really frustrating, so I was just starting to speed up again. And I obviously ended up leaning towards something that had a lot more like organic elements to it, just just to save my butt on that score, because yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to draw anything that looks super great, so I'm gonna have to go in here simply and try to do something. And yeah, that's kind of what I came up with. Again, it's not perfect, and there was a couple decisions, and sometimes I maybe would have actually just stopped and called this finito, but I didn't. So going out of practice is kind of annoying. But it's okay. It's okay, we've got to work, we've got to make the money, so I can't complain too hard. And I've mentioned it before, but for anyone who's new or watching for the first time, I work on a ranch. Well, one of the jobs I do is working on a ranch, feeding cows, counting them, checking them, making sure that they're good and safe and nothing has hurt them and they don't need medicine. And my other job is basically keeping this person's yard, which is a lot. They have a lot of land and it's a lot of grass, so I end up weed whacking for about 8 hours a day, and also if they need it, I help them clean their houses and stuff, so keeps me busy. And then we have our little tiny Etsy shop, which is always linked below, and I showed a coaster that we made with our laser engraver later on, so stay tuned for that. And oh man, we just made some new shirts, speaking of. We just made some new shirts and they're so cool. We actually got these ones made because they're the direct to garment or whatever printing, and we're just not. We don't have that. We can't afford that, and we don't have the space for anything like that either. So we went ahead and did that, and I really dig the shirts. We got one with our doom snail. It's basically a snail with a bird's skull for a shell, which a lot of people seem not to notice, the bird skull, which I find kind of funny. And it's got mushrooms on it. We've got like a witch themed one. So I had made a sticker sheet a while back, and my sister was like, oh, this would make a rad t-shirt. So she got herself one, and we were testing it to see how well they stood up to wear, and they've worked pretty nicely so far. What was the other shirt? Oh no, I can't remember. My brain is broken. Anyway, I think there's another one too, and so we've got a bunch of sizes or whatever, and yeah, I'm pretty thrilled. Oh, it's the mushroom. We have a toxic mushroom, and that's also a shirt now. We have it as a pin and a shirt, and also sticker. So yeah, anyone who likes mushrooms, maybe check out our little shop. We really enjoy making stuff like that. Oh, and our pins are wooden. We get them made from Zap Creations, I believe. So I don't handle all that stuff. My sister usually does. And I do the drawing and stuff when I have the time, so. Yep, that has been me lately, just trying to keep up on YouTube videos and also get work done. And then every other Saturday we're kind of trying to make it to the local farmers market. One, because our sister started selling sourdough bread down here, and we just want to support her because she's doing her best, and luckily she's very popular and sells out. So that's pretty cool. Us, on the other hand, last time we made $0. So yeah, we ended up sitting from like 9 to 2, and we made $0. But that's the way of it. That's probably been the worst one for us so far, but that's okay. We were there and we tried. Yeah, I put a lot of pen and hatching detail into this. Actually, probably one of my favorite things that I did on here is I took my brush pen, and I ended up filling in a bunch of the black on the side, which I had planned from the start, but I was still worried, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make this look decent, and it didn't turn out too bad. And I'm so sorry for the noise. I guess I should have mentioned that as a disclaimer at the beginning. I had to knock down the sound a bit because we got a new aircon, because it's so hot where I'm filming right there, and I did not think that you were going to be able to hear it that well. It sounds like it's in the same room as me. It is not. It's in a completely different room all the way across the other direction, and you can hear it so well. So yeah, I will remember to either turn it off, which I didn't want to do this day anyway because my sister was working, which you will be able to hear, and she was doing like a bunch of the heat presses and stuff like that, and it gets spicy in there, so I wouldn't have turned it off, but I would have at least closed the door, and hopefully that would have muffled it. Usually just leave it open and let the airflow kind of go in there. But yeah, next time I will do something to rein that in, because it's terrible. I was trying to edit it and I have to listen to it, and I had headphones on and it was driving me bonkers. So yeah, but hopefully you can watch it without pulling all your hair out anyway. This time I was actually able to keep it in focus pretty well because I didn't tilt my book, and then the desk I have over there is taller than my small desk at home, So it helps me see a little bit better. Those having weird eye problems again. I think it's just for being in the sun and stuff a lot. Because, yeah, and I'm also exhausted, so it could also be that, but my vision, like, does this thing where it feels like I'm cross-eyed and I can't see things very clearly. And I do actually take breaks and stare off into the distance for anyone who thinks it's that. It's not that, I don't think. So, fun times. I was glad that I could still keep it in focus, because I couldn't even tell. I was looking at the little screen, like, is it in focus? Thinking maybe I should ask my sister if it's in focus. All the little satellites. Yeah, this one was pretty fun once I got into it, because if I'm being honest, I was having a bit of a bad day. Not necessarily a bad day, I guess I was just in a mood, and I didn't really, I don't know, I think maybe I was just upset, like my video probably wasn't going to turn out well because I had not been drawing, and that frustrates me to no end. Not drawing in general frustrates me quite a bit. It's something that makes me feel calm, and when I don't have it, I can get pretty frustrated. But I wasn't too much of a bear, and it didn't last long, so we got through it. Alright, so here I'm gonna finally use the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen, since I've been loving this. I should use some of my other ones. I do have a gray one and a brown one, so I think that would be cool. I need to see if I still have some in microns, because I have some colored microns in a different bag, and I think mixing that would be cool. Especially in this sketchbook, because it's been holding up to a lot of torment. I'm really impressed. Really, really impressed. The downside is that it being yellow, it does get ink and stuff on it pretty easily. And as you can see from my finger over there on the left, I put pen and stuff on my fingers to dab off the excess when I don't have a paper handy, because I'm an animal, so yeah, I get ink and stuff on my hands really easily. And then it gets on my book. So it's gonna look well loved by the time I finish it. Don't worry though, I'll go back to using some color probably at some point. Just really enjoying using ink wash again. As I mentioned before, it's just so relaxing. I did go overboard on this one though. As I said, it's just a bad habit of mine, I think. I don't really have exact plans whenever I'm going through and inking these parts that I know are going to be mainly black. So the weird shapes and stuff that is in them just is its own little thing. It looked really interesting. I don't know, it was kind of reminding me of art I'd seen, and I could not tell you what from, but it was making me think of Alien, so do with that what you will. Probably just like the post-apocalyptic thing going. Man, I'm just so glad I got a video done in time. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I'm like, man, I've been so consistent, I've been doing such a good job, and then we just kept working, and like, I'm never gonna have the time. It's not gonna happen. I couldn't even make the time because when we come in, it's so late, and I can't do anything. But we did it. I brought along my little porcelain plate and my Menzo brushes from Pentel? Yes, Pentel. And I bought all of these from Jet Pens, if you're curious. So you can probably still find them there. Also, that pen that I use to ink, not the polycarbonate pen, that's just a Muji pen's regular ballpoint, which of course is, you know, waterproof in and of itself, which is really nice. But the black pen is waterproof, and I bought that also off of Jet Pens. Tried to get a good view of all the little numbers and things on it, so if you're interested, I think it's a Sarasa clip. What was it, DX or something like that, so something like that. So if you want to check it out because you like it, there it is. And I showed the last one that it has roughly the same width and stuff as G Pen, just doesn't have the flexibility. I still keep really considering getting one of the fountain pens that has the G nib at the end. Not that there's a lot of fountain pens you can really take on the go, because they will kind of make a mess. Not just kind of, they will absolutely they will absolutely make a mess. Yeah, I wish I would have made that look taller, more epic. I could have changed the angle or something. But I was already running out of time that day. In fact, I ended up running out of space on my SD card, and then we had to get home really quickly, and I could not finish absolutely everything to the end on video. So I'm very sorry about that. I was really trying and rushing, which might have been why I kind of overdid it a little bit. But, yeah. It's okay. It's a little disappointing, but I will show you the pictures at the end. And I will say basically what I did was add an extra wash of dark ink, which ended up feeling like too much on that spire that's on the right side. And I put some more darkness in the sky, which I feel like was a mistake, but I got over it. It is what it is. And then I went ahead and took that white pencil. It's a color pencil. It's like a Prismacolor white light fast, or you know, something like that. And I thought I had it here, but I don't know where I put it. But anyway, that's what I used. And so I ended up using it to create kind of a distance between the skeleton and the glass. And I also used it to create some distance between, because, you know, I added so much dark and I just kept darkening it. Stuff wasn't broken up very well, and I was very disappointed. It was also still drawing at the time. Oh, here's our new coaster. I recently did that design when I had some time, and yep, we put that on our cork coaster, and that will be in our shop as well. But anyway, so then I ended up making it too dark, so I took that white colored pencil and I just started using it to fill out some of those lines on that darkest spire in the foreground. So yep, I think that helped break it up a little, and I like what it ended up doing for the glass, because I didn't have it there with me and I had to wait till I got home anyway, and I couldn't film because it was loud, because it was nearly dinner time, and I would have just had to get everything out again, and it was all in my backpack. So one day we'll have internet up there, and hopefully I will keep some of my tools up there to make it a little easier on myself. I'll be able to finish videos in their entirety better. So right there I'm just kind of trying to get the shape of the glass. In the story it's made of like this diamond kind of stuff, so it's super hard to break. So even though the brine is pushing in on it and it's pretty heavy, it doesn't break it. Yeah, our laser's obnoxious. It's so obnoxious, but it's really cool to watch. It's like this really big, it's called the X-Tool S1. So it's like this super huge box, like a huge rectangle, and it's got this green lid, and so you can watch it cutting things or, you know, engraving on them. It's pretty rad. So it's actually weird for me because I almost always watch it while it's going, but I needed to make my video. But she had to make some coasters, and then we got these like ones you can get to put in cars, in the cup holders, because a bunch of people actually asked us about that, which I had never even considered before, didn't even think about it, forgot they even made things like that. So we ended up ordering some so we could make some that people could put in their car if they were interested. Although sometimes people ask about stuff like that and then they don't want it anymore when you have it, so there's that. But maybe, even if no one else did, maybe we could get some use out of it. So yeah, you can already tell that I'm kind of losing my contrast, which is why I ended up making that one part darker, which you won't see until the ending picture here in a minute, because yeah. Also, I can't stop saying because and cause, and I don't know why. This is just a white jelly roll pen. I think Sakura? Yeah, I think by Sakura. So yeah. Just need my highlights on there. A bunch of this was still drying, so it's very wet. That's why it's still crinkly, because the page does eventually go back to laying flat. Probably one thing that helps is that I close it and then I put it inside that new case that I have, and all the supplies add enough pressure on it when it's zipped to flatten it back out, so that's been really cool. It really doesn't warp that badly. I wouldn't care if it did warp a little bit. It's not too tragic, so yeah. It actually had some pages that I didn't like. I just felt they were super unfortunate. Just because I'm so out of practice. So yeah, here in a minute, my SD card dies. Doo-doo-doo. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I really appreciate your views and comments. Have a good day or night, and bye.